Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to be exploring the process of creating lasting lifestyle changes. But actually, we're not doing it through the usual self-help lens. Instead, we are taking a little bit of a journey. We're starting in the realm of physics, traveling right through human biology, and landing smack dab in the middle of your daily routine. We are unpacking the kinetic power of habitual momentum. So let's get started.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever wondered why simply trying to go to bed on time or stick to a sustainable diet or just showing up for a new workout routine feels so incredibly exhausting? Like you're completely drained and you've barely even started the new habit. We so often treat this exhaustion like it's a personal failing, right? Like a lack of discipline. But what if we completely reframe the problem? What if the reason you're struggling isn't psychological at all, but rather physical?
To really understand our behavioral struggles, we kind of need to shift our perspective. We need to look at our daily actions through the laws of physics, the physics of life, basically. When we want to change our lifestyle, we're essentially trying to move an object, ourselves, from a state of rest into a new, continuous motion. And, well, in physics, moving an object requires specific forces.
And this beautifully illustrates the foundation of everything we're talking about today: momentum. The source defines momentum as the force or energy, the impetus, gained by a moving object. I really want you to hold on to that word, impetus. Momentum isn't just about speed, it's the actual energy that a moving object collects and holds onto as it keeps moving. So to apply this to our human habits, we've got to understand how we actually go about gaining that kinetic energy.
To see how this builds, let's look at a totally relatable, everyday physical experience: learning to drive a car. This is literally the perfect bridge between abstract physics and human behavior. When you first sit behind that wheel, you are starting from an absolute standstill, both physically and mentally. Just think back to being a novice driver. The source reminds us of how awkward and totally confusing it is. You don't know where the clutch is, you don't know where the accelerator is. Honestly, you might even slam the brake instead of the clutch. Every single micro movement requires this immense, exhausting, conscious decision-making. But contrast that with the seasoned expert. After consistent pushing and learning, your brain literally creates patterns. Suddenly, you're driving completely automatically without even a conscious thought. You might be talking on the phone, eating a burger, or, simultaneously shouting at your kids and squabbling with your spouse, all while successfully operating a heavy machine. You've gained the momentum of a learned skill.
And that exact same transition from an exhausted novice to an effortless expert applies perfectly to inculcating healthy habits. Whether you want to adopt a sustainable diet or just simply sleep on time, you have to try, unlearn your old ways, and push through a lot of trial and error. You have to actively build that habit pattern in your brain through learning and gaining skill, just like mastering the clutch and the accelerator.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this brings us out of physics and straight into human biology. Why is the novice phase of a new habit so incredibly hard? Why do we feel like just throwing in the towel on day 3 of a new workout? Well, it's because we're actively fighting our own biology. We have to overcome brain resistance.
The source frames it perfectly here. Our brain resists any change or energy-consuming task. Just let that sink in for a second. Doing something new takes conscious decision-making, which burns a massive amount of physical energy. Your brain, which is specifically designed to keep you alive and conserve resources, absolutely hates this. It will actively resist you. So if you feel exhausted and require significant willpower just to push yourself in the beginning, understand that this is a biological reality. It's just your brain trying to save energy. It is not a sign of personal weakness.
So, if our brain is fighting us and our physical momentum is sitting at 0, how long do we actually have to battle this resistance before the habit becomes as automatic as eating a burger while driving? Well, we need to look at the timeline. There is a specific secret window, a finite stretch of time where you just have to consciously force the issue before biology finally relents and actually takes over to help you. 60 to 90 days. I want you to sear this specific data point into your memory. The source points to studies suggesting it takes 60 to 90 days of consistent effort for something to truly become a habit. For 2 to 3 months, you literally have to actively push and pull yourself to get that momentum. You have to supply the energy manually. Your brain's going to resist, and you're going to have to use significant willpower. But this timeline actually gives us immense hope, because it means the exhaustion has an expiration date.
Which brings us to the ultimate payoff. Once you cross that 60 to 90-day threshold, you experience what the source elegantly illustrates as the train engine effect. This is where the physics of momentum fully rewards your biological effort.
Think of a massive train engine.
When it starts from a complete halt, it has to pull all those heavy compartments behind it, right? It requires incredible amounts of power and energy just to inch forward. This is you on day one of a new diet or workout. But as the train pushes forward, it starts gaining initial speed. It collects that kinetic energy we talked about. And once that train gains a certain speed, the engine suddenly consumes far less energy to keep going. It cruises. This is you after 90 days. Once you gain habitual momentum, you're going to continue your healthy lifestyle with significantly lesser mental resistance. The things that are healthy for you, they just begin to happen automatically.
We've seen the physics, we understand the biology, and we now know the timeline. The heavy lifting is temporary, but the momentum you build is powerful and lasting. Your engine takes 60 to 90 days to truly start and break through that biological resistance. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. What habit will you start pulling today? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I really hope you found these concepts as fascinating and empowering as I did.